These sorts of videos are going to be me cataloging my journey through showing whether I can reflect and understand these sorts of projects. For example, my first real project, data types. I already finished it, no problem. I already finished the BMI calculator, but I wanted to go back to this one so I could demonstrate whether I know it or not. For example, she gives us a variable automatically right over here to put in a 2-digit number. Okay, 2-digit number, that's a variable followed by a data type followed by her quotes, because I messed it up if you excuse me for a second, real quick. Whatever, actually forget about this. Let's just go to something over here, right? We have it set up over here. Let's just say, oh, I don't know, put a 2-digit number input, because this whole thing right here, I got help on it, and it's essentially just like this, but a little more complex. All right, let's just say I want to put 22, and then I press enter. Okay, what do we have here? We have 22, 2, 2, 4, and 22 again. What is happening here? How did this even occur, and how can I explain this? You see, we already have a variable over here, and that variable is immediately followed by a data type, which is an input, and we automatically have a string. A string is essentially just a set of characters with quotation marks. Once you remove these quotation marks, it's no longer a string. Simple as that. And the thing is, once you create a simple input like this, right? Forget all this, right? All this, just forget. Pretend it doesn't exist. Once you have these things over here, and once you put in your 2-digit number, it's just going to regurgitate it, as evident by over here. It's going to regurgitate it, like by this command, which is the data type print. I'm pretty sure it's not a data, but I may be incorrect. But print, and then you put 2 digits. 2 digits. You're referring this variable. You're referencing this variable one more time from the previous line. So you're essentially grabbing that once you press print. Once you successfully answer the input, because it gives you a question. And then once you put the input, your input is 22, and then this third line, right? It says print 2 digits, the variable. This is the variable, and then you're asking for the variable one more time. So what you're doing is that it's essentially a reflection of what you're doing. So just print your input, right? Print the input. Print like 22. Then, okay, cool. Then how did we get 2 and 2 here? Right? For example, if it was 21, let's just say, then this would be 2 and this would be 1. What we're doing here for print 2 digits with like a 0 and a 1 here is that I think we are subscripting of sorts, where we have, because numbers, when it comes to specific characters, let's just say you put like, oh, I don't know, pizza, right? If you were to put like pizza, right? This would be 0, this would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3, and this would be 4, because computers count from 0 to beyond, right? So what you're doing here is that when you said print 2 digits, you're referring to this variable again. Okay, this variable, this, okay? This. It's all the same variable as this, right? You're just referring it to a number of times. You're just referring to as a designation. You're saying, okay, here's the rule, and I'm just going to refer to that rule as many times as I want, all right? Okay, so you have print 2 digits, subscript designation 0. Okay, so if we go to designation 0, that's just going to be 0, 1, right? You see what I'm saying? 0, 1. That 2 is a 0 and that 2 is a 1, right? And just, it depends on what 2-digit numbers you have, what 2-digit number you have. So that's just going to give you 2, print 2 digits, subscript 0. It's going to give you 2, print 2 digits, subscript 1. It's going to give you another 2, and then you go all the way over here, which is strange, right? Result equals int as an integer, which is number. Integer is a number, and a float is a decimal, right? Even though in mathematics those are two different concepts, but here it's a rather similar idea. So what's happening over here, all right, you have a result, which is a new variable. Okay, you're establishing new parameters here. You have a new result equals int. What is int? Int is just another way of saying numbers, right? You only put this in front of your mess over here, in front of your previous variable and your previous subscripting, to just say, okay, my rules is that, like, the information which I'm summoning is just numbers. There's no letter in it, because Python knows that you're referring to, because int this data type or is a command where it only int and float only designates and it looks for numbers when you do it, because if you type in a word, it's not going to work, right? So when you say result equals int 2 digits subscripting 0, which is going to be 2, okay, and then plus int, which is a number again, because again you're telling it, hey, these two things right here, they're numbers. You're just referring it to numbers, if you will. Okay, so int, the first int right here, 2 digits. Remember, we're referring to this right here. Okay, every time you see every time you see 2 digits, just know that I'm referring to this original variable right here. So you have 2 digits over here, and then you have 2 ints over here, right? These ints are just simply functions, or simply data types, I believe, that are just telling you that this is a number. You're telling it that this is a number, right? And once it registers that, it sees that as 2 plus 2, right? Okay. Remember, the 0, this is 0, and this is 1. So it sees that as 0 plus the 0 and 1, which is 0 and 1. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's how we get that. That is the 10th line over here. But then, cool. Then how did we get, I don't know, let's just say, okay, so what is result 2? This is a new variable. We established a new variable. We have result 1, result 2. These are two different variables. Okay, then wait a minute. These look very similar to each other. So what's the problem over here? You see, you have variable 1 and you have variable 2. Again, every time you see these, we're just referring to the original thing, right? It's just getting, it's looking up the rule which you set up. Now, we have subscripting, we have the subscripting over here, and we have 0, and then we have 1. Remember what I said, what these mean? These essentially refer to the fact that this right here is a 0, and this right here is a 1, based on their number placement, based on their designation, because computers read from 0 to beyond, if you will. At least that's how I understand it. So what you're doing here is that you're also notice how there's no integers, right? You're not designating this as this thing as as numbers anymore, right? It's no longer numbers. The computer doesn't see that as numbers. So what it does is that it grabs subscripting 0, which is this right here. This is subscripting 0, all right? And then it grabs subscripting 1, which is this one right here, and then it just puts 22. It just combines them. It doesn't make 4, it just makes 22 of sorts. And it's a similar concept with her original work over here. If you go over here, I'm just waiting for the terminal to load. Okay, let me just press resume. Okay. And if we just press run, and if we were to put, let's just say, I don't know, 25. Okay, enter. Okay, we get 7. What does this miss? How does that even work? How did we get 7? Okay, let's review the rules. Okay, we have variable 1, we have variable 2. Okay, variable 1 and variable 2 are merely referring to the original variable, which is this original variable up here. Apologies for the motorcycle in the background. Okay, and then we participate in a thing called subscripting, as I mentioned, which just follows the designation. We put 25, correct? So 2 is 0. And then 5 is 1. All right. Just imagine you have a 0 and a 1 right here. So what happens then? You create a third variable, which is results equals int. Int is important because you're putting the designation as a number. You're saying, hey, this is a number now, right? It's time for you to add, okay? Because without the number, it's just going to be 25 again. Okay, and that kind of won't make sense based on the designations over here. So that would just be 2. Okay, this would just be 2 plus 5 print result, which in turn equals plus 7. 2 plus 5 equals 7. Okay? Unlike what happened here, which we took away the integers, which made it into just, oh, I don't know, 22 or just 25, right? It's not like the original parameter over here. It's not like the original variable where it was like, okay, just print 2 digits and then it's just regurgitating your input. No, it's not regurgitating your input here. What it's doing is that it has a second result, the variable, sees that there's no numbers, right? Yes, it technically knows their numbers, but it's not organizing them in a way like how you want to add them, right? It's like it's not a 7 anymore, right? It's not a 4. It just like gives you the illusion that it's like it knows what it's talking about, when in reality it's only telling you that, oh, okay, this number is just these two characters combined, right? They're not 22 anymore. It's just 2 and 2, right? Same thing here. It's not going to be 25. It's just going to be 2 and 5. So I hope I explained that. I hope I showed that I understand it. And good night.